Hey guys, Alpha Heavy Gamer here with another video. So this time I decided to get into my time machine and go back about 5 years specifically. So do you guys remember this? The year was 2018 and it was April Fool's, and Gaijin developed this submarine game or possibly another mode, but it was weirdly flushed out. I mean, seemed really complete. It was kind of like this Atomic Thunder thing that we're doing right now, where it really looks pretty good, like it could be an entirely different game. That was Silent Thunder. But honestly, we kind of fell into the April Fool's Day thing, and Gaijin seemed to really just be joking about this new game. But as we all have come to know since then, April Fool's Day game test events are likely to make it into the main game at some point. And I'm a naval warfare fan, and a lot of other people took it pretty seriously, and it ended up kind of going nowhere. Or did it? So let's go back and kind of talk about what they were saying on the website then. So, they did this thing with modern submarines and they called it Silent Thunder. And on their webpage, they said Silent Thunder aims for a completely new vehicular combat experience. In the test version of the game, players were able to try modern nuclear submarines from 3 different nations: the United States, Great Britain, and Russia. Each vessel was armed with a unique selection of torpedoes and other missiles. Specifically, in submarines that you could drive, there was the Russian Yasin class, which carried the Caliber anti-ship and land attack missile. We're kind of familiar with that right now. There was also the British Vanguard class, which was in the game. And then, of course, there was the Virginia class submarine from the US Navy, which had some torpedoes and Tomahawk missiles. So this was a submarine versus submarine focused event. And you could, fire your torpedoes at other submarines. The torpedoes, of course, are wire guided and you could control them. So they were player controlled torpedoes from launch until the moment of impact. The torpedo control mechanics actually seemed pretty cool and like I said, pretty flushed out from what I could see. And from what else I could gather, Gaijin seemed to have implemented basic mechanics that make submarine warfare possible. Things like passive and active sonar, the torpedo guidance I was talking about, things like cavitation, things that would raise your acoustic profile, thermocline layers, and other acoustic modeling. Like I said, it was a pretty fleshed out mode, but it was 5 years ago. So what happened to that? I mean, could it have worked? Are there enough submarine or just naval warfare fans in general right now that make what was a April Fool's Day joke back then, something that could be pretty, viable right now? So what happened to it? Here's some speculation. So like I've been saying, these April Fool's Day events sometimes are testing proofs of concept, new mechanics, things like that. But this time, maybe Gaijin got negative feedback from the player base. Looking at the forums though, there were lots of naval fans that were pretty hyped about it though, from what I could see. And at the time these modern submarines were showcased, War Thunder Naval Forces weren't even in the game yet. They didn't come out until October 2018 in update 1.83, Masters of the Sea. So maybe that's the first issue right there, an issue of synchronization. So when Naval Forces came out, we were talking World War I, World War II ships, so really early naval. And the submarines they showed were very modern. They didn't show any World War I or World War II submarines, which doesn't mean that they didn't also develop those. So maybe what we saw was some unintentional revealing of part of an overall naval roadmap, which was to implement early naval surface combatants and then start progress on the modern naval surface combatants, and then perhaps implement submarines at some point in time. Maybe this was going to be rolled into War Thunder Naval all along, or maybe it really was going to be a separate game. But let's say Gaijin just chose to make this a separate game. I think they would face some stiff competition. Even 5 years ago there was competition. There are a number of submarine focused games like the critically acclaimed Silent Hunter series. It's World War II, but still very good. If you go a little bit more modern, there's the Cold Waters Submarine Simulator, which is also very good, and I actually really like that game. There's also the promising looking Sea Power Naval Combat and the Missile Age game, that's coming out pretty soon that blends, all of the aspects of naval surface warfare and subsurface warfare. And if we want to go overall and for a more arcadey feel, there is World of Warships, which has a pretty big audience. So the bottom line is there's lots of competition in the space if Gaijin were to release a separate game, Silent Thunder as its own thing. But I do hope at some point we do see submarines in War Thunder Naval. I feel that, that mode will be incomplete as long as they don't have submarines. Gaijin has put a lot of resources into Naval, and whether you're a Naval fan or not, I don't think the mode is going away, and in fact I think it's gonna probably get even better, especially as they transition to modern vessels. I mean, I would genuinely love to see it grow into a more integrated mode with a complete range of surface combatants and subsurface combatants, stretching all the way into the modern age. Naval air power is also going to play a pretty important element here. We already have pieces of it. If you look at the German Marine Flieger Tornado, it has the anti-ship missiles, which is already there. And of course, if you play Naval now, you can play World War II aircraft that can carry torpedoes. Alright, so to conclude, Silent Thunder looked compelling to me. I think submarines have a place in the game once, all the other pieces are in place, but what do you guys think? Could Silent Thunder have worked back then? Do you think it can work now? Are you a submarine fan? Are you a naval surface combatant fan? Do you want more compelling and interesting naval vessels to come to the game before you start to dive in? Let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, I appreciate you watching the video. Hit that thumbs up if you like this type of content, and I'll see you in the future. Thanks.